focus on saving money tends to distract from the most important part of retirement planning, which is income. Good morning. My name is Nate. I'm the Chief Investment Officer for Hoskin Capital. I'm also one of the youngest certified financial planners in the world. At some point, financial advisors and investment advisors got away from the idea of collecting income generating assets and instead started just assigning a single savings goal for each client. And they did this most likely because it's easier for us to do on the math side, but more importantly, it would give the client a single monthly savings goal. You have to save X, Y, and Z this month. If you do that, you're on track for retirement. The problem is that while clients might feel like they are making tangible progress, this is actually distracting from the most important part of their retirement plan, which is replacing their current income with income they can generate without working a 9 to 5. So income is the most important part of retirement planning because that's what you're trying to replace. You're not trying to replace savings. You're trying to replace, let's say, $80,000 a year in cash and in income. So that $2 to $3 million that most financial planners will throw out feels kind of arbitrary. How do financial advisors come up with this $2 to $3 million number? They take your annual income and they divide it by 0.04 or 4%. So if you make $80K a year, you're gonna need $2 million at retirement to sustain that $80,000. Now, this might seem random. The 4% feels arbitrary. Let's talk about where that comes from. The assumption financial advisors make is that you're going to be able to generate 4% of income off of whatever savings you have for each given year. So if you have $2 million, you're gonna make 4% on that, and that's going to be your income for the year. So you're left with $80,000 in income, and then you also have $2 million to pour into the next coming years. But savings don't pay 4%. In fact, they actually depreciate by about 3%. So at best, if you have $2 million and you need $80K a year, you're gonna have 25 years. And that's assuming that you hit $0 by the time you pass away, which is not good for anyone you might want to make your descendant. So instead, let's say we invested in stocks and bonds. Now the problem with this right now is that stocks are paying at most, well, on average like 2% dividends, and bonds are usually paying less than 3%. And so a pure stock and bond portfolio is not going to solve the issue right now. This might change by the time someone retires, but we can't count on that. So what we have to do is we have to stop focusing on percentages and start focusing on dollars. This is where the focus on saving distracts immensely from the most important part, right, which is income, because it might lead a saver to make really bad investment decisions because there might be an upfront capital expense. What do I mean by this? Well, let's say someone is given the opportunity to buy an $800,000 duplex as a rental property. Now, let's say they shell it all out in cash, which I wouldn't recommend, but if you shell out $800,000, that's gonna eat into your savings. So someone who just has this rote savings goal that their financial advisor said you have to hit $2 million, they're not going to take this investment because it's going to cut that in half. But someone who's interested in collecting income will take a moment to do the math. Let's say they can rent each unit in this duplex for $2,000. So they get $4,000 a month, that becomes $48,000 in a year, or about 6%. But that 6% doesn't really matter. What matters is that by owning that rental property, they just replaced more than half of their required annual income in cash. Now, this example is not designed to argue that real estate is better than stocks. It's just designed to take you away from that simple 4% or that single $2 million number and turn it into an income number, taking it back to that $80,000. Rather than aiming to save an arbitrary amount of money, a good investor will actually figure out how to earn their current income outside of their 9 to 5. Because by the time they hit retirement, that is inevitably what they will have to do if they want to stop working. Doing this could mean owning $1.4 million of IBM because they pay a 5.5% dividend. But more likely, it's going to involve owning a couple of properties and having a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds. On top of that, maybe you'll have a monetized hobby, and you'll also have a limited partnership interest in a company that pays you self-employment income. And on top of that, you will most likely have a line of credit on both your property and on your stock portfolio. If your financial advisor isn't considering your income in this scope, I would argue that they're not doing their money's worth by any means. So rather than fretting about the amount of money that you have saved in your bank account, I'm gonna leave you with this question. What can you do to take your current savings and the money that you will save in 2022 and turn it into a passive stream of income that will exist whether you work your 9 to 5 or not? This has been a pleasure, as always. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you like it, subscribe, turn the bell on, you know the drill. And there will be more coming, I promise. I hope you stay happy, healthy, and wealthy. We'll talk soon.